All right. Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to Hump Day. Kind of got a wild market going on over the last week. Lots of ups and downs and crazy movements. My name is Jacob Gabbard. Welcome to the stream. This is Invest with Jacob. And today we're going to go over our indicator. And it is a day and swing trade indicator. It's called Invest with Jacob Pivot Point Pro. You can see it on my screen right here. If I turn it off and on, you'll see the buys and sells come on the chart. Now we trade day and swing with this. So on the day trading we do 5 minute, and on the swing trading we do the weekly chart. And what you can see here, sorry guys, what you can see here is this is the SPY, and this is what we day trade on. And you can see that I have after hours, which is in blue, and pre-market, which is in yellow. Those are very important for the indicator to work properly, but we don't trade them. So none of these trades in these hours matter. And we only trade from the open, that's 9:30 Eastern until noon Eastern. So only 2.5 hours of trading a day. We take whatever trades happen in that time period and go from there. You can see we had a sell here right at the top yesterday and a buy down at the bottom. Um, so the indicator has done very well. We are over the last 2 years of using it in day trading, we are up $120,000 on a $100,000 account. And so that is an incredible return on investment. And all of those trades are documented in my live rooms. They are also documented by one of my users who pays to be a part of the team. He's in the rooms, and he also documents every single trade we have. So you kind of have third party documentation as well on those trades. So each day we put out trades as the indicator tells us to, and we follow a certain set of rules. First of all, we don't trade the after hours, as I already mentioned. We only trade from 9:30 until noon. The next thing is we don't trade trend days unless we get the setup for it. In other words, if we're in the trend as the trend starts, then we stay in the trade and we ride it out. But if they give us a trend and we don't get a chance to get in, we don't trade because we don't want to chase the trend because they do reverse very strongly when they fail and you've already missed the move. And we don't counter trade trend days because they can just continue to push and push and push. And if you're trying to counter trade that, you're going to get eaten up pretty good. So we try to avoid trend days as well. The last rule we have is called three strikes and you're out. And that is a protection rule against one, the market being extremely choppy, and two, just your mental state of trading. If we take three trades and they don't work out, and typically in the same direction, what we're talking about is they make a low down here and we're getting a buy signal and it fails, you get a buy signal, it fails, you get a buy signal, it fails. We're done trading for the day. Can they take it higher on a next buy signal? Of course they can, but we're not going to spend all of our money trying to find out. So three strikes and you're out is one for your mental aspect of trading, which is far superior to any other part of trading. And two, because it's likely to be very choppy and we just don't want to get eaten up in the chop. So those are the rules. That's what we do here. I'll give you my market insights as we go. We go over a lot of different things. Hopefully you learn something while you're here. Hopefully you make some money while you're here. See how the indicator works. It's a very, very powerful indicator. Um, and it's a very powerful group. We have a lot of very talented traders in my rooms if you want to be a part of that as well. We are running an incredible deal that you can see on the screen, and you are welcome to take advantage of those with the links in the description down below. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. We have not had a chat. Usually we have somebody saying good morning or hello. So if you guys can't hear me or if there's any issue with the stream, let me know. But otherwise, I will keep on trucking here. Overall, 6,900 is going to be the big day, big level, not big day, big level on the ES. It has been for a while. If we zoom out to the 3 hour, you can see that over the last few days, the 6,900 area. Let's go to the smaller time frame. Let's go back over here. The 6,900 area has rejected many times. You can see it rejected here and here. So 6,900 is the key zone for the bulls. If they are able to push here and get above it, they can break out, and then we would expect 69.30 to 69.50 next, um, and go from there. So the bulls have their work cut out for them. The bears are in control of this market as long as we were below 69.54, which was the breakdown shelf up here where they lost it the other day and let us sell down into the 6,700s. So 69.50 is going to be where the bulls take back control of the market. 6,900 is where the bulls start to accelerate and they can squeeze. You can see this big wall of resistance at 6,900 here. Let me turn this off so we can see it better. There. You can see this big wall of resistance here, 6,900. That's going to be the key for today. Yesterday we got short way down here at about 6,800. Just off of that, 68.15. I'm sorry, got long. We did not get short. We got long down here off of 68.15. We have cashed in 2/3 of that trade already for a nice profit. We're letting that last third run, and it is up nicely and hopefully pushing toward that 6,900 area. So we swing trade as well, and like I said, we drilled the long off of the low yesterday, and the other day we had one over here for this run up. So it's been a good trading and swing trading. Day trading's been a little choppy lately because of the volatility. There's been a lot of shakeouts, and that can be super annoying, but it's part of trading, and it's how it goes. So even with a terrible, terrible, terrible month in January, we were positive 1900 trading. So it was terrible because the trade setups were bad. It was trend days almost every single day. It was a big move up, big move down. It was really hard to trade. Um, so even with all of that, we did really well, or we were green. We didn't do really well. We were green in January. So um, big things to learn today, hopefully, if you don't know these things or you're new. Losing is part of trading. We may lose today. It happens. It's part of it. And you have to understand that, and you have to be ready for it, and you have to um, mentally prepare yourself for losing streaks because no matter how good you are at trading, the market will humble you. Every trader has been humbled by the market. Nobody knows everything. Nobody's right all the time. You can only do um, what you can do, and how I say it is, you want to be the casino, not the gambler. The casino has the edge in every single game in the casino, except poker because you're playing against other people. But the casino has the edge in every, and then the casino has the edge there because they just take part of the pot. But the casino has the edge in every single game in the casino, and they know that over time they will make a lot of money. Gamblers don't build $1 billion houses. Casinos build $1 billion casinos. And the way they do that is because they win over time. It's the law of large numbers. If you're right enough of the time, or your risk reward is right enough of the time, because the amount of trades you win actually is inconsequential. It's about your risk reward. But my point being, if you're the one with the edge and you apply that edge relentlessly, you will make money over time and you will succeed as a trader. But an edge doesn't mean you get to win every day or even every week or even every month. It means that there are going to, over time, you're going to win. You're going to have bad runs. You're going to have mental lapses where you just struggle because you're frustrated that you're not winning or that the system doesn't seem to be working because you've lost a few trades in a row or you've lost for a month. We've had, I don't know, 6 or 7 losing months over the last 2 years, and we're up 120K. So I think that we're doing okay. And I think that if you understand that and you're able to mentally process that and follow the rules, you can do really, really, really well too. But where most traders fail is they get overconfident. So they upsize their bets or their trades to sizes that are way too big. And inevitably, that's when the losing streak comes and then they go broke. Or they get way too scared and they get out too soon, or they chase trades, they get FOMO. Essentially, emotion. Emotion is the destroyer of accounts. And if you ever let emotion into your trading, you will fail. Absolutely, without a doubt, you will fail. And um, yeah, if you can simply take care of that, you will be a successful trader. Most people think that the system is wrong or that there are scam artists on the internet. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of scammers on the internet. But most people who are reputable traders, their system is fine. It works just fine. You just have to follow the rules, or you don't understand some of the ins and outs of it, or whatever. But it takes a long time to get really, really good at trading, and the biggest part of that long time is mental. So if you can adjust um, your mental approach to trading, if you can adjust that up front, then you are light years ahead of every other trader. I will take a average to poor trader with a good mental game over a great trader with a bad mental game every time, because the great trader is going to go broke. He just is. He's going to lose it. And the average trader will do okay. So if you can get your mental game right, you will be a successful trader. Believe me, I know I've blown up accounts. It took me a long time to figure that out. It took me a long time to stop trying to be rich overnight. It took me a long time to understand that starting off making $100 a day compounded is pretty darn good. And then you can get up to, $200 a day, $300 a day. And that's not to say that every day you're going to make $100, $200, $300. That's to say on average, that's what it works out to be. Some days you might make 500, some days you might be minus 200. But whatever level of trading you're at, that's a really good, right now at the level of trading I do, I trade 50 contracts per trade. That means uh, if I get 8 cents on the day, just trading options, if I can net 8 cents average on a day, that's $400 a day. That's $2,000 a week. That's $100,000 a year, roughly. Obviously, there's holidays and stuff. I get that. 8 cents at the level of trading because of where I've gotten myself to. Now, that's not as easy as you think it is to do, but it's not a huge thing that you need to make a six-figure income. It's not a huge thing. You might need to build up to the amount of money so you can trade 50 contracts comfortably, but you don't need a ton of win to make 100K in a year. You just don't. Um, so the idea that you have to get rich overnight, or you have to have these big 10-point moves all the time, or 10-point SPY moves, or 100-point ES moves, one, they're not that common. Two, they're very hard to predict. And three, by the time you figure out what's going on, and if you're trading it properly, you shouldn't even have your whole stake in at the end of that move anyway. So that's my spiel. That's what we do here. We got about 15 minutes left. If there's any questions, anything you guys want to go over. Cats at home, good morning. Welcome to the stream. George T, hello. Welcome to the stream. Nonument, I like that. That's kind of cool. Have you talked about pathing ideas yet? Not yet. Do you think we get a retest of 6930 ES? Yeah, I think 6950 even. That's where they fell back from, or dropped down from, I should say. So I think that 6950 is probably in the cards, but 6930, we'll go look here in just a second. I'll show you why that's an important level, but that is a very important target. Do you feel we will have a pullback on NQ from its downtrend line from where we had the last three pullbacks? It's certainly possible. Trend lines are made to be broken, but yeah, that's certainly a reasonable thought. Let's go look at the paths real quick. So on the 3 hour here, we'll zoom in on the most recent part of this because that's where all the magic is and all the stuff that's happening. So at the top here, we've had a very sloppy pattern after this breakdown in November. And let's see here. Let's get our tool out for this. So off of this low, right now we're counting this bullishly as this is all of A, and then you have A, B, C for B, and then you have 1 and 2 of C. Okay, so that's the bull path. Now the bull path is targeting about 7,300. If we go off the low here to the high of 1 of C down to the low of 2 of C, we'd be looking at 7,350. I think we'll probably hit the 1618 to 1764 area, 7,250 to 80. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. That's the bull path. Now the bear path, very similar in reverse. So the bear path is this was 5 up here, this higher high of A. So this was 4 and this was 5, which was a nominal new high. And then you have A down, and then B up, and then you have 1 of C, and then 2 of C would come up, and that's where that 6930 level comes in, because if we do a retrace of this move, 6925, and I don't have that exact. I think if I put it exactly, it's at 6930, right about there. Yeah, 6930 is the 618 retrace. So if this is going to be a 1-2 to the downside, then um, then we would be looking for that 6930 area. So 6900, 6930, even 6950 again, that's where we broke down from the other day. Right here, they came down, broke 6950 right here, and fell down to 6780 or so. On the Nasdaq, it's a little cleaner. The path to me is a little more bearish overall. So off the high, you can count this bullishly. You can count this as wave 4 and then A and B. Remember, we're in diagonals. That's why you're getting these A, Bs instead of 1, 2s, because every wave is a 3 wave. So wave 4 was 3 waves, wave 3 was 3 waves, wave 5 would be 3 waves, as well as 1 and 2. Anyway, A, very deep B, and then 1, 2 of C, which points us to about 27,000 for all-time highs. And then the bearish path here would be that this was A, this is your B wave, and this is 1 of C and 2 of C, and then we're starting 3 of C down in a much bigger move down. And that move down targets, that move down is going to target the 21.5 area, but we still have to see this play out. I'm very skeptical on the NASDAQ as far as the bullish path because it's been so much weaker. It's already challenged the November lows. The bounce off of it was fairly weak, and they're back testing this low. So it's kind of go time for the bulls. They have made their low. They have back tested the low. This is kind of where they need to get going. And if they don't get going, then things can get really kind of dicey real quick to the downside. They can lose it down to 23.3 pretty quick. There's a lot of support there. There's also a lot of support through here. So this 23.9 to 23.3 area will be a kind of a choppy zone, but it should be a wave 3 of C. And remember, when diagonals end, as well as when um, big time bull moves in, which if you look over here, this is a big time bull move up, they can end very quickly and very sharply. And the C waves don't always have to give you the structure that you're looking for. In other words, normally you would see a C wave in a bigger format play out down to here. Well, you can see wave 3 just collapse, right? And then you get down here all of a sudden and you're at 19.9 and you're below 20,000. Everybody's wondering what the hell just happened. So just be careful if they do start to slide. These are targets, but certainly not what I would call backstops. They can be run right through. So keep that in mind. All right, we got about 10 minutes here. Let me get set up for the trades. Let's see what we're getting as of right now. So as of right now, we're in a buy that just fired. We'll see if they can accelerate here, but what you're looking for as we come into the open is we are looking for them to give us a setup. And if we are in a buy, which it just went away, so we're not in a buy right now, but as we'll see how this, these last two candles close before the open. If we're in a buy, you're going to either look for a pullback that is a long stop. So you see LS right here. That means you can get another buy signal. So we'd look for the open to pull back, then give us a buy signal. Or we're looking for them to shoot straight out of the gate here and then give us a sell signal somewhere up here. Whether it's 6,900 or 6,890, there's resistance, obviously. Look for a sell signal back down. So when you have a buy signal, you're looking for a sell signal first. However, if they do reverse the chart, you could see them give you a long stop or just have the buy signal go away like it did here. You could see that, and then you would see them come back down, and wherever they stop down here, then give you a buy signal back up. So you're always looking for the opposite of what's on the chart. And right now, a long stop is on the chart, so we're looking for a buy signal, which just came back on the chart. So if this buy signal closes on this bar, we'll see how, we got a minute and 30 left here. Then we would be looking for a sell first or a long stop because we're in a buy cycle. So we'll see how this bar closes and if they're able to get this buy signal going. And if they can, then we have to see a buy cycle complete. So this is a buy down here. You got one candle of up, and then they stopped out. So the long stop said, hey, it's not too good yet. And then you get a new buy signal over here. So it has to complete what's called a buying cycle, which means it needs time and energy up. And then you can get a sell signal. Otherwise, you're going to get a long stop, which means get out of the trade. Now, I don't necessarily use the stops personally because I know how to set my stops, but that is for Less experienced traders, this helps keep you out of harm's way. For instance, you got a buy right here. They told you to stop right here, and the market sunk. So you got out early enough that you didn't run into this train wreck. Thanks for doing lives, Jacob. Love your stuff. Thank you, Nanyman. I appreciate it. Jacob, can you take a peek at GC perhaps later in the stream? We'll see. This one is focused on the SPY and the NQ for pathing, but mostly the SPY and the ES because that's what we're trading. But we'll see if we can get to it here in a little bit. These lives are great. Hope you keep them going. Yeah, we do them every week, every Wednesday, and go through, obviously the trades we take, but also understanding price action, understanding how trades work, what's going on with them, where support and resistance is, and how to decipher that, how to understand it, so that you can um, be a better trader. Even if you don't want to, use our indicator or be in our rooms, I want you guys to be better traders and make money. That's the whole reason I do this. I don't do it for me. I do fine trading, and I could do that, and I did for a long time by myself, but it's kind of boring. I like talking to people, and when you just sit in your basement with your dog all the time, he doesn't talk back. And I realize you guys don't technically talk back, but you do in text. So, all right, we got about 3 minutes to the open right now. It looks like we may be getting a buy signal at the open. It's going to be close, so we'll get that set up for a buy. Remember, we always want to have our trade completely set up and ready to go so that we're not fumbling through trying to get a trade when the trade is ready to go. If we do that, then we can miss a whole lot of points, and points are very, very, very important in trades. So if we're ready to enter, if we get a trade right this second, right now, and you got to get in, well, if you're fumbling through and they give you the buy signal and it's all the way up here by the time you get in, you've already missed, 4 or 5 points of move, and that's not a good look. So um, I do suspect because of this failed breakdown look, they failed 76. So they broke 76. They've come back up below and back up. So I do suspect we should squeeze a little bit at the open to the upside. Whether we get this buy signal on time or not is to be determined. How much time do we have? We got about 2 minutes left here. Let me go over to my trading platform. So 685 is the strike I'm sitting on for this. And I'll have my stuff ready to go. If you're trading long and you've never done this before, we always trade the SPY. So I'm going to go over to the SPY now. And we are looking for, we're looking for obviously the buy signal or sell signal, in this case, the buy signal. But we're looking for, if you're looking for how to set your stop, Jesus, I can't talk, sorry. If you're looking for how to set your stop, um, it's 50 cents less than price we get in at. So if I got in right this second at 684.22, it would be 50 cents less than that, so it'd be 683.72 would be my stop. All right, they're trying to steal the buy from us here. This happens sometimes where the candle right before the open, we get the buy signal, and then we don't get in, and they shoot it higher. We'll see how it plays out from here, but that's kind of what it looks like right this second. Got about 50 seconds to the open here. Good luck, everybody. Agree, interwave flow. Welcome to the stream. Stay green. Is the microphone better this week? I think I figured out the problem, but I didn't ask. Is the sound better? Last week there was an echo. All right, 10 seconds here. Let's see what we get. Great sound. All right, good. Let's turn this up. Maybe this will help. That should help with the audio right there. Okay, we got the open. See if we get a buy here at all. All right, they're giving us a dive down here. Let's see if we fill the gap. Yesterday's close right here, 682.74. That'll be the first place we look. 682.12 is the pre-market low. Remember, the after-hours low is the one that is lower. So the lower of either the pre-market or after-hours low. The after-hours is the blue. The pre-market is the yellow. The lower of the two dictates whether we're in a trend or not. So 681.50 is what they got to break down in order to trend. My strike has moved down to 684 for now. Actually, we're gonna keep it at 685 because I think by the time we do get a buy signal, they'll probably be up closer to that. Okay, there's the buy signal. I got 178 and 683.50 is going to be our stop. Let's see if we can get some movement here. Bulls defended this call wall so far. So above this is positive gamma for the day. Very wild open here. They got us. Okay, so 165 was a stop out there. See if we can enter again here. They will likely give us another shot at this. I think that was just a lot of shakeout there. But we'll see. If you don't know what these levels are, they are Mentor Q levels, and well, they come from Mentor Q. They're not Mentor Q levels, but what they are is they are the highest level of options for both calls and puts, and they're huge support and resistance zones. So you should pay attention to them, and if you don't have them, there's a link in the description on how to get them, because they're very, very powerful tools to use when we come into those levels. So this is a great place to look for the market to bounce. It did. It bounced from 683 back to 684, and we'll see if they can come back and break through it or not. But these are where the market makers want to defend. And when we're above call resistance, that means positive gamma. So actual true positive gamma is going to be over 686. And when we are below call resistance, we're in normal trading, and below put support is going to be negative gamma. All right, looking for another shot here. There it is. So we are in at 182, and our stop is going to be 683.70. Man, they're giving us the whipsaw candle a lot here. Let's see if we can stay in. Come on, hold on. Start to break it. Certainly looks like the bulls want to try to push here. They absorbed all of this selling down into support and then took it right back to the open. So we're going to see if they can hold on. It's a wild first candle. All right, they stopped us out. $168 on that stop out. Super annoying. One more shot at it. And there it is. So we got 178 again and 683.50. They opened at the most traded zone, and right now the bears are defending it pretty strongly. So we saved it by a penny there, not quite. Got to hold in. Hold on, not hold in. They're trying to hold down here. They've held barely. They got to get some. They got to get some juice going. That's for sure. The bears are just swatting down that 684 zone. All right. Well, that was a disaster of a day, and that's how trading goes. We got to stop there at 157. The Bulls unable to get off the mat. This looks like so the Bulls had every opportunity here to press, and they still might, but in general they are. So they're getting rejected pretty strongly off of VWAP. They got to it on the opening bar, got rejected. They've gotten to it a few times on this bar, got rejected. If they get through, they're likely to squeeze, but getting through has been a problem here, and we're getting caught in the blender, which really sucks. It's not a fun feeling for sure, which means our trading today is going to be short-lived because we have 3 strikes already in the first 10 minutes. And that happens, it's whatever. Certainly not exciting or fun. Well, I guess it's exciting, but not fun. A bad kind of excitement. The downside momentum, yeah, see. Now this is where you just have to suck it up and say this sucks. If they explode here, which seems likely. We do have a swing trade long right now that will eat this up, so that's good. But for the day trading, it was not there today, or it's too soon. But if they're able to fully break out here, that would be a squeeze probably to 6,900. They'll have some 68.90 will be a spot, but 6,900, 6,905 will be areas of contention, assuming they can hold up here. But very, very, very choppy open. I mean, wild swings from 684 all the way down to 682. 20-point swings and 5-minute bars are very hard to trade. We're looking for more controlled buying and controlled or accelerated selling, and we got whipsaw. So it is definitely not a fun thing, that's for sure. Part of trading. Wednesdays have always been rough. I think I should move the live stream to like Tuesdays. Tuesdays are generally a better day. Well, you have a buy signal printed now, and the bulls did close above the 8 and at VWAP. So we'll see if they can finally push through. We'll go over to gold here in just a second since George asked about that, and we're not going to be trading. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Yeah, there's the breakout. 686 is going to be a big level. That's for sure. And then we'll see if they can, how much they're going to squeeze here. Very annoying when this happens. The indicator is essentially right? It understands what's going to happen, but because of the whipsaw, the indicator doesn't work on stops. It works on when is the market likely to reverse. And it was telling you, hey, there's a very likely reversal happening here. We have to enter when it tells us the market is likely to reverse. The stops come into play. We get stopped out. We have to respect our stops. If you don't respect stops and this decides to collapse, then you are out so much. Because the indicator is not always right. It's wrong. Right here it says, hey, we're expecting a reversal and you got to wipe out. Now, this is pre-market. I get we don't trade that. I'm just giving you an example of how things work. So you have to respect the stops. The indicator ultimately was correct in that the bulls were getting ready to buy here. We couldn't sustain the swings of the 20-point bars, which is a 2-point SPY bars are big bars for 5-minute bars, guys. That's if you look at this chart, you're going to see maybe one 2-point SPY bar. This one's 685 down to 684. No, this one's not even a 2-point SPY bar. So it's one of those days. They don't want you to participate today. No, they didn't. They shook everybody out who was trying. That's for sure. Nvidia gap up, just fading the gap a little. SMH chips close the gap, moving back up. Feel NQ still not cooperating. NQ's weak. There's no question about that. I mean, it's on par with ES today, which is not what you would call normal because NQ's the leader, right? All of the big tech stocks are NQ, and I realize they overlap with ES, but you want the leaders to lead, and NQ is not and has not been leading for a while. RTY is, and RTY is still leading. They're up double ES and NQ right now. It's a bullish tape. I mean, you've got the transports are pretty green, banks are very green, semiconductors and NVIDIA are green, RTY is extremely green, so it's a bullish tape. You would expect the bulls to do what they're doing right now. We just got shook, and that happens. It sucks. Like I said, we'll look at gold in just a second here. I am just wrapping up a little text over here real quick. Okay. Sunny, Sean, welcome to the stream. Joseph, welcome to the stream. Let's go look at gold. What's gold doing today? I haven't even looked. Let's just go around and look at some things since we're not going to be trading. Meta still struggling. Microsoft. We're looking for a bounce on Microsoft. So we'll go over there real quick. And we're gonna go to a different chart. We'll do some big level, high level stuff here real quick. Go over kind of what we do on our midday call. But unfortunately, we are done for the day trading wise, unless I see a swing trade for my group, but that's different than what the stream is. So that's banks. We don't want banks. Where was that? Microsoft. So Microsoft has been a dog lately. It's been crushed down to support. The 2618. So we were looking for a potential bounce up here off of this support. They blew through that. And now the 2618 is trying to bounce. They bounced a little bit, but they're back at it. This would be a pretty good 4-5 actually at the end of this C wave. So you get a 4-5 into this support right here and then back up. But I am looking for at least this kind of bounce back into this 472 area and then like this. If they clear 472, the bulls can try to make another charge. They really need to get through 490 overall. But that's Microsoft. Netflix still a dog, still getting killed. Lost almost half its value off the top. In a support zone right here on the 3 hour. Let's go to the daily. It's better on the daily. They're in a support zone on the daily. There's a chop right here at the 2618 as well. Looking for a bounce on Netflix, potentially back into this 100 area to 105. They get above that, then Netflix could start to turn bullish again. Everybody else kind of normal today, nothing crazy. Nvidia still stuck in a range. Gold, big bounce off of the big. So yesterday, big rejection. Today, big bounce. Consolidating down here. They got to get back above 469 469 to be bullish again. If they can get back above that, we can look at them coming into 477. If they get above 490, then we'll look at them to try to challenge these highs. However, the volume on these highs is the highest it's ever been in history, and it is going to be very hard for them to get through. I would expect at least a rejection here, if not a full-on collapse. But gold, this can still be a 4-5. Gold still has a potential upside, but they've got to get out of their own way, and this does look corrective right here, which tells me that 477 and down would be more likely than new highs straight away. Silver looks like they're giving a good bounce, but they've been getting killed. They came back to the 21 and failed it all the way below the 50. They came back to the 21, failed it all the way below the 50. Now they're failing the 50. So silver is looking rough. If they lose, and they did yesterday, but they're getting it back today. If they lose 67 and sustain losing it, then they can free fall pretty quickly on silver. Bitcoin can't get out of its own way. It's trying to bounce off of that 60 level. I said a long time ago, if you've been following along, all the way back up here when they were coming down here. And so that was back in October. I said 55 was my target. They got to 60, pretty close from 108K. 55 was my target. They've fallen all the way down to 60. They're trying to bounce. I could definitely see one more push lower into that 55 zone where the support is over here. And then we'll see what happens from there. If they do get back above 71.6, they need to do it with force, but that can get them back into this 80, and then they can get to 88, and then we'll see what happens after 88. If they get back above 88, they can challenge this 97, and this is where they really got to start to get higher to start challenging the highs again. But right now, Bitcoin is struggling and continues to struggle day to day. It's got to, at the minimum, it's got to get above 71, whatever this high is right here, 71.8 or so. Let's call it 72,000. So that's some high-level stuff on some other stocks. If you wanted to know that, I'll just give you some extra information since it's such a short day. Is the volatility unusually high? No, it's not that it's unusually high. It's that the opening bars were unusually wide. So if you look at most opening bars, you're going to get some chop. There's no question. You generally will get two-way trades on the first 5-minute bar because they're settling all the price. So you get some of this, some of this, some of this. And this is okay. It's when it's, like this. And this is what we got today. Because they established the low and then they do this a bunch of times before they actually break out. And then you get the breakout. Well, by the time it breaks out, you've been chopped to death. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. That's how I trade, and that's my strategy. So you guys are welcome to put in your own strategy, but my strategy has definitely provided a ton of wins and money over the last 2 years. So, and that the only reason I give you the last 2 years is because that's when the indicator was created, and that's when the strategy was created. So there's only 2 years to go back, but those 2 years have been very, 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 very good, and that's the key. So, it's consistency, the long game, and understanding that losing is part of trading. Thank you for checking. GC, SPX Super Cycle, always good if you want. Yeah, we went over that last week, I think, but nothing. I mean, nothing's changed. We were looking for either the top is already in, which I still don't believe yet. I'm very skeptical of that belief, or we are looking at one more high up in the 71 to 7,300 range. I would say closer to 73 at this point, given the structure, if they're going to get one more high. I think there needs to be one more high for structure personally, just to make it look right. But that's me being a kind of Elliott nerd. I like to see the patterns completed in a way that makes sense, and right now the high doesn't truly make that much sense. So I am skeptical that the high is in. That doesn't mean we can't have more pain before we make the other high. If we go back to the regular chart here, they can definitely make a lower B wave. So this wave 4, this can be A, and this can be A, B, and you get a C wave down into the trend line here at 66, 6700 that still holds this wave 4. The only issue I have with that path is that the NQ would break the November lows, and that is a red flag. But certainly not an impossible task for them to break this and then come back up to the highs. That's on the NQ. On the ES, it would still be holding above. So you could see them definitely make a lower B wave here and then higher. It just kind of depends on how this plays out overall. Thoughts on SMH? They made a pretty good high the other day on volume, not that long ago, right here. And well, the follow through was volume, I guess. The high wasn't on great volume, but the follow through had huge volume. And so this high, they came back to it. I think they'll probably take out this high. Double tops are not something I subscribe to. And that doesn't mean that they don't play out. It means that even if they do play out, they tend to get taken out. So even if you got this pattern here, right, my opinion is they would come into support and then take out that high. So I don't think this is the overall top is what I'm saying. So this double top, I think, will get taken out. And it looks like they're trying to set up for that move now, which would coincide with like ES making another high and NQ trying to push. NQ is the one who could have the top in. So, NQ, because of how their structure is and how far down they are, I could definitely see NQ rally here in a setup that allows ES to make another high, comes into this resistance zone right here, and then rejects. I'm not saying NQ can't make another high. I'm saying it's been extremely weak, and you're seeing a lot of the Mag 7 struggle. So they're going to have to really get on their horse and ride, as they say, if they're going to take this higher. Even now, I mean, we would have won this trade here had we taken it, but we would have been stopped out pretty quickly. So it would have been not a great win, and you're still in this chop. They are holding the support zone around 68, 72. 76 is technically the number, but they're spiking through it and setting traps. So I would say 6,900, in my opinion, is coming today. The overnight high is 6,904. So I would think that they should test that zone and see what happens at some point. That doesn't mean get in a trade because they're going to 6,900 right this minute, or even at all. But I do think that this will happen today. Whether they, like I said, whether they do it like this or straight ahead or whatever, that's up to them. But I do think they will hit 6,900 today, and we'll see if they have enough juice to get out and run. I don't think that's going to be the case. The Volt is fairly green. ADD's pretty green. So you've got a bullish tape. So they do have the opportunity to break out here. Um, whether they can or not is obviously to be determined. So watch. I would say if you're looking for a trade today, since we're done, I'd be looking at 6,900 for a potential short. I'd want to see them get up here, do something like this, and then you could get short. Or even spike above it and then something like this and you could get short. But that would be a potential trade if you get the setup. Don't just trade 6,900. Look for a setup because they've already tested it a few times, so they can go back and blow through it this time. If you're not in my rooms and you haven't been paying attention, a while ago, a couple weeks ago, I think, there was a bank collapse, another one. Banking is under pressure no matter what the chart says about their stock, about the XLF and where it's at, even though it's down about 15% off the highs. Banking is under tremendous pressure, and I've been preaching this for a while that banks have tremendous amounts of stress on them right now that is not really even being reported. Commercial mortgages, credit cards, used cars, car loans, all that stuff is piling up. You have shadow lending. You have a bunch of issues that are stacking up on the bank balance sheets, and you're starting to see banks get over leveraged on things. The silver liquidation put out the other bank when silver crashed, and the stress tests that they run don't account for a lot of the things that banks are dealing with. And these are things that don't hit the stock market today. And I always tell my group, when I talk about the news not mattering, I mean on the day it happens, it doesn't matter. When the headline comes out, no one cares. You know, over the weekend, I saw a bunch of posts that said bad news for the stock market. Israel's going to attack Iran. Trump said it's okay to attack them. They're going to hit Iran in their own country. One, war generally brings bullish behavior. That's one. Two, the stock market doesn't care. When Russia invaded Ukraine, it was one of the biggest up days in the year. It just doesn't matter. So when I say news doesn't matter is when the headline comes out, no one cares. However, they care what's happening in the banking industry. They just know it's not there yet, so they don't have to worry about it until it's there. And when it's there, you won't know it's there because you haven't been following the headlines or following the news, or you've thrown up your hands and said, I don't understand. Why doesn't this make the market go down? And then you forget about it because it didn't make the market go down. That's because inflation and banking and all of that stuff doesn't happen overnight. It's not a headline that happens and then, oh, we're here. It is a multi-year process that has to play out through the economy. And once that happens, then the cracks in the economy start to appear and then things start to go down. And you're already seeing under the hood the Mag 7 getting beat up really badly. People just see that markets are basically around all-time highs. They're still only 1% or so off of all-time highs. And maybe a little more than that, a couple percent off of all-time highs. So they're like, it's fine. It's just a pullback that'll get bought. But they're not seeing that the Mag 7 has, Netflix is down almost 50% off of its high. Meta is down 20 or 30% off of its high. Microsoft is down 20% off of its high. I mean, there are a whole bunch of Mag 7 stocks that are in trouble, and they are the backbone of this market. And then when banking hits with it, that will be the 1-2 punch that nobody can stop. And what you're likely to see here is you're likely to see when the markets do go to highs, and this is why the NQ may have topped, all those Mag 7 stocks that are down big, you'll likely to see them rally because they need a bounce. They're oversold. And that rally is going to be strong enough to push ES and RTY to new highs, but it's not going to be strong enough to, well, it could be. I mean, the NQ could run up to new highs, but it's unlikely that it's going to be strong enough to push those Mag 7 stocks back to new highs. But their bounce will help push the market. And then when they turn down in their bigger C waves, that's when things will unravel. So, and that's if. All of this is, my opinion and my thoughts. If they turn down in that bigger C wave, that will be a very, very strong move. Like I said, they can go back to new highs. That certainly is on the table. Everything is on the table in the stock market. However, we try to rule out what is least likely, or at least put it on the back burner. And right now, for me, those going to new highs is the least likely scenario. But a bounce, and a strong bounce at that, is probably needed. There, like I said, there's several of them that are very oversold. So they can reset their charts, reset all the indicators, everything that tracks all that stuff that matters. It doesn't matter. I was kidding. All those things that people use as metrics, and then they can push it down again. All right, you seeing the bull squeeze here? Unfortunately, they stopped us out. They didn't let us get on the board. They didn't let many people get on board, because what they did was they shook the first group, then they let them come up. So these guys might have if they were smart enough to take some profits up here, they did. And then if they were smart enough to have stops, they got stopped out, most likely. And then they ran it higher. So little shakeout happens. Unfortunately, we were on the shakeout side today. A lot of times we're on the running side with the market. Most of the time we are, actually. So, like I said, 6,900 incoming. Here it is. This is a key zone. If you're looking for a reversal, I would look for a setup, but this would be a place to try. You can get a pretty good risk reward off of 6,900. If you get in at 6,995 or something, you got 5 points of fail versus a collapse here. But and they might need to go to the pre-market high. 69.04 is next. And then after that, if they break out, we're looking at 69.15 or so, 18. That's the next major level. And then 69.25, and then the one-day max up here at 69.30. So very, very important levels. Again, if you want these levels, these HVLs and one-day maxes, all these important levels that matter, you can. And if you look at today, they came down on the SPY. They came down and bounced directly off of that call wall once it pops back up over here. This bounce right here was directly off of a key level from Mentor Q. And this, well, it was. Did they change it? They must have changed it. There was a level. We all saw it. Anyway. And then they came up on the ES and hit that level and rejected. So this red bar rejection here was right off of a call wall. They came into it, rejected it, and then got back through it. They're at the pre-market high, so we may see a trend day up if they can get through. Here's the call resistance that they rejected right here. And they rejected that, 68.85 all the way down to 68.69. So a 16-point rejection, pretty quick in a 5-minute bar. And then after they found some support off after the after hours high and went. So if you want that Mentor Q, there's a link that'll get you a discount in the description. Check that out. All right, we'll see if they can get through the pre-market high here. If they can, what you want to see to confirm a trend day is you want to see them move through the pre-market high or low if they're going down. A back test of the 8, the 21, or VWAP. You can see all three of them on my chart. A back test and then a break back above, and that tells you that we held support. We broke the high that we made, and the trend is on. Do you believe they will trap here? They could. It's certainly a great place to trap. They can give you two-way traps, actually. They can give you this, where it makes it look like they're going to fail. Or they can give you this, where it makes it look like they're going to break out. So, yeah, they could definitely trap here. This is a huge level for them, 6,900, this 69.04 area. So breaking above it should cause some acceleration from the bulls, even though they've kind of already started accelerating. And that acceleration can be used for a trap for sure. How's the new house? No surprises? Nothing yet. Everything seems to be, the little things like the ice maker on the upstairs fridge doesn't work. Um, that would have been nice to know, and I'm not sure how they've got some weird fireplace controller. It's a propane fireplace, and I'll be honest, I can't figure it out. It's kind of annoying. I can't even light the pilot because you have to have all these settings. So it is that part's annoying. Breaking out here, 6909. Like I said, getting through this is likely going to cause a squeeze. Um, again, next level 6918, 6925. If you're in my group and you have the long from yesterday, we can move our stops up to 68. No, 6870 is where we want to be. Sorry, 6870. I'm going to put that in the room right now. So our swing trade from yesterday that we got in at 6813, we're now over 6900. That's pretty good in a day. So let's move our stops to 6870. There we go. That's updated for you guys. I just saw that I put the trades in as puts on my site, so that was dumb. Everybody's human, right? That was stupid. Hopefully you guys, I guess if you took them as puts, you guys all did good. Sorry about that. I'm updating them now so that they're at least accurate. All right, here's the acceleration breaking out. So trend day either way. We would have, you know, if you take the fourth trade again, you get a nominal win because you're going to get stopped out on this red bar. So we didn't really miss a whole lot. We got punched in the face a few times, so we didn't miss any punches either. So that part's a plus, you know. But there'll be trades tomorrow, and our swing is doing extremely well. So we'll let them run. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I've kind of gone through what I can go through without trading, and um, I have the indicator. What time frame to use for the swing? Weekly. That's in the it's in the training videos, Otis. But I'm gonna wrap it up here. Not our best live stream, that's for sure. It was like when you walk into a guy swinging a baseball bat. That's not fun. But like I said, there'll be trades tomorrow, and we'll do it all over again. That's part of it. And the faster you can get your mind around that and let yourself detach emotionally from your trading, the better you will be. Good day, number 7. Good day, number, what were you, 72? Hope? I think you were 72, right? My buddy Mr. Hope went to school with me, a prestigious West Point grad. Smart guy. You were 63? Oh, who was 72? I don't know. Stites was 77. Anyway. Well, good day to everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your hump day, and we'll see how strong these bulls really are today. Thanks, everybody.